One day, people all over the world woke up to find that their favorite animals had disappeared. In Face to Face, you work to find the animals and put them back where they belong. Face to Face is a points-based card game. Players earn points by finding matching pairs of animals in the cards and placing them in their correct locations. The game ends when the first player reaches 10 points. He or she wins. Or it can also end when the last face card is drawn. All players will then have one turn, and the player with the most points wins the game. In this video, we're going to look over how to play Face to Face. We started with the goals of the game, so let's move on to the components and running through the basics of setup and play. Let's start with the components. Face to Face has two different decks of cards: place cards and face cards. The game also has player cards, which contain a brief summary of the most important rules, including turn options and scoring. It also has a list of all the places and the animals associated with those places for players' reference. There are 4 different place cards: Arctic, Savanna, Pasture, and Jungle. There are 5 each of these in the place card deck. Each place has 4 animals associated with it. Arctic has the orca, polar bear, penguin, and walrus. Jungle has the toucan, chimp, tiger, and frog. Pasture has the sheep, cow, horse, and pig. And Savanna has the giraffe, lion, elephant, and hippo. The face card deck each card has one half of an animal, either the left or the right side. You can tell what place they belong to by the background of the card. The horse has the same background as the pasture place card, for example, so that's where it goes. Some of these face cards also have stars in their upper corners. These help you determine how many points a completed or matched pair, meaning a left and a right side together, is worth. If you have a matched pair with gold stars, that's worth 3 points. With silver stars, that's worth 2 points. With mixed stars or no stars, that's worth 1 point. Note that there's only one of each specific card in the deck. 1 gold star, left side of a horse, for example, if you're a card counter out there. There are also 6 different special cards in the deck, 4 of each one. We'll see how these are played more in a minute. The rat card, for example, can be played on an opponent's matched pair to negate those points. A wild card can be used to complete a match when you don't have the other half of an animal. The take an extra action card can be used to take an extra action, and the others, take a card from the player on your left or right and take a card from the discard pile, are pretty self-explanatory, but we'll go over them in a minute. Let's first go over how to set up the game. This demo will cover a 3-person game. There are no rule changes for 2 or 4-player games. First, shuffle the place and the face card decks and place them in the middle of the table so everyone has access to them. Give each player a player card. Next, determine who's going to go first. Players can either select this randomly or have the first player be the one who has the most animals. If there's a tie, go with the person who has the most exotic pet. Play then proceeds clockwise. Each player gets 1 place card and 4 face cards as their starting hand. And with this, you're ready to start. First, let's go over the actions you can take on your turn. Each player, on their turn, has a choice of a maximum of 2 actions that they can choose from. They can draw a card, put a card in play, trade a card, discard a card, or pass. Actions may be taken more than once in a turn. For example, a player could trade 2 cards during his or her turn. That would be both of their actions. So let's look at some sample rounds just to see how this works. We won't go through an entire game, just 3 rounds, enough to see what the rules of the actions are. So this is player 1's original hand as dealt to them. Original hands always have 1 place card, in this instance a pasture card, and 4 face cards, a combination of the animal halves and special cards. Generally, the cards in your hand should be kept secret from other players. For her turn, player 1 decides to use the put a card down action and puts the pasture card on the table. Place cards must always be put down before animal pairs can be put on them, so they'll have some place to go. Animals can only be put down together. In other words, as a matching pair. You have to have both sides to put them on a place card, and this just counts as a single action, even though it's 2 cards. You can't just put a single face card down. Each place card can hold 2 completed pairs. Player 1 then decides to use her second action to draw a card from the face card deck. It's the right side of the horse, so she now has a matched pair, meaning, again, a completed animal, left and right sides. But she's used up her 2 actions, so her turn is over, and she'll have to wait to do anything else. Here's player 2's original hand. Notice that he has a rat card. This card has special powers. It can be placed on an opponent's completed animal to negate those points. Player 2 decides to use both of his actions to draw 2 cards from the face card deck. If you use the draw card action, you may draw from either deck, either the place cards or the face cards. He's drawn a wild card, which can be used to complete any animal. The wild card can't be used as another special card, like a rat, and has no stars, so the maximum point value you get through using it is 1 point for the completed animal. This is a good time to bring up the hand limit. No player may have more than 7 cards at any one time, so player 2 has reached his hand limit here. He's used both his actions now, so play passes to player 3. Player 3 just uses both actions to draw 2 place cards for his first turn. Note that now he's also at the hand limit of 7 cards. Here's what the table looks like after everyone has had one turn. Player 1 is the only one to have put a card down on the table, so it's the only one visible right now. Now for the next round. For her second turn, player 1 takes her completed horse and puts it down on the pasture card. Placing a matched pair down counts as just one action, so she still has one turn left, one action left. Since the stars on the horse don't match, she's just scored 1 point. She decides to draw another place card as her final action for her turn. Player 2 is at his hand limit, so he can't draw any cards. He decides that he wants to complete the frog with the wild card, but he has to put the jungle card down first, so the frog will have somewhere to go. So with his first action, he places the jungle card on the table. Then he places the completed frog, in this case the left side of a frog and a wild card, on the table on the jungle card. Wild cards have no stars, so this pair will only count for 1 point. Cards on the table don't count toward hand size, so player 2 after this turn now just has 4 cards. Play moves to player 3. Player 3 is also at the maximum hand size now, so he decides to place his jungle card down for his first action. He then decides to ask for a trade. Trades are completely voluntary and must be worded generally. Players may not specifically ask for a specific side of a card or a certain star card. Player 3 decides to ask the whole group if anyone will take his savanna animal to get a jungle animal. You may ask a single player for a trade or the entire group. No one agrees to the trade, so player 3's turn is over. Here's what things look like after 2 turns. And now for the next round. Player 1 asks for a trade, a penguin for a savanna animal. Player 3 agrees to this and they trade cards. She gives him her penguin card and he gives her his lion card. The trade just counts as an action for player 1, the player asking for the trade, not as an action for player 3, the player agreeing to the trade. When she draws a card from the face deck for her second action, she gets a special card, one that says, take a card from the player on your left. If she decides to play this in the future, she plays it and then gets to take a card from player 2 on her left without looking at player 2's cards. She could take either a place card or a face card from player 2 as long as it wasn't put down on the table already. The special card is then put in the discard pile. There are also cards that say that you can have an extra action, that you can take a card from a player on your right, and one that allows you to take a card from the discard pile. And you can look through and choose a card from either the face card or the place card discard pile if you want to do that one. Player 2 decides to play the rat card against player 1. He lays it down on top of her horse cards. This negates her points, but not the space that the horse fills on the place card. Remember, place cards can just hold 2 completed animals, and player 1's horse will still fit that spot, but just not be worth points. Strategically, it's generally better to wait a bit in the game before playing the rat, and then you can use it against a 2 or a 3-point animal if one of those come up. Player 2 ends his turn by discarding his polar bear. Player 3 places the jungle card down and then draws a card. He gets a special card, an extra action card. The extra action card allows a player a total of 3 actions in one turn. Playing the extra action card itself does not count as an action. He could play this card now and take his 3rd action, but he decides to wait. Player 3's turn is now over. Here's what things look like after 3 turns. Right now, player 2 is in the lead with 1 point, since he negated player 1's horse with his rat card. Play just continues in this way until either one player reaches 10 points or the last face card is drawn. In that case, when the last card is drawn, the players will take 1 more turn each, and the one with the most points wins. Thanks for watching the video and for helping get the animals back where they belong. We hope you like the game. Contact us in the comments if you have any questions, or at our website www.mockingbird-games.com.